Welcome back to the Hot House with Richie Ray because I'm always in the Hot House. My brothers and sisters, today isn't just another episode. This is a moment that I truly believe is historic for our union. For the first time, we brought together many of the most respected voices in the postal podcast community for one roundtable discussion. These are men and they're supposed to be women, but we had them drop out who have spent countless hours educating letter carriers, breaking down our national agreement, discussing arbitration, explaining our rights, and encouraging members across the country to become more informed and more involved. Tonight isn't about personalities. It's it isn't about attacking one another. It isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about conversation. It's about education. It's about the future of our union. The National Association of Letter Carriers stands to an important crossroads. Our members have questions. They want answers. They want transparency, accountability, and leadership. Most importantly, they deserve to hear different perspectives from people who have dedicated themselves to educating our craft. Every guest joining us tonight has earned the respect of thousands of carriers in their own unique way. While they may not agree on every issue, they all share one common goal to make our union stronger through knowledge, communication, and member involvement. Tonight, we'll discuss the current state of the NELC, the future of the Postal Service, the importance of education, the role podcasts are playing in shaping today's membership, the upcoming 2026 election, and the issues that deserve far more attention than they're receiving today. I encourage everyone watching or listening, listen with an open mind, learn something new, challenge your own thinking, because an educated membership is the strongest membership. So sit back, enjoy the conversation, and welcome to the Union Airwaves Roundtable right here in the Hot House with Richie Ray. Let's get started. Brothers and sisters, um, well, brothers actually. How are you guys doing, man? What's going on? Thank you for joining me, Bill.
Hi, what's up, Richie? How you
What's
doing?
up, Elliot? Gotta get off mute, brother.
How you doing, brother?
All
Glad to
right,
be here.
brother. Austin, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty well. How are you, Richie?
All right, Capone, how you doing, brother?
What's going on? Thank you for having me on this, Richie.
All right, Keith,
Thank you, brother. Glad to be here.
Alan,
Hey, happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Josh,
How's it going, Richie?
how you doing? Corey Walton.
I'm still mad at you for beating me in the best podcast voice vote.
All right, brothers. Listen, let's get into this. Each of you answer, each of you get 2 minutes. Explain who you are, what podcast do you host, where you're from, what union position do you currently hold, and what is the mission behind your podcast. Let's start with Corey Walton.
All right, my brother. Hey, first off, thanks for the invite, my man. I look across there and see some absolute studs as far as education. And that's what all of this is about, ultimately, is education. So I host the podcast from 8 Arbitration. Started out trying to educate my brothers and sisters as much as I could. It's kind of turned here as of late uh, to motivate our people to stand up, and they have. Uh, I'm out of Branch 4, Nashville, Tennessee. Been a city letter carrier since 1992. Still deliver 6 days a week. Um, I'm the secretary at my local branch and currently running for EVP on the Concerned Letter Carrier slate.
Awesome, brother. Bill Kriebel.
Well, I'm Bill Kriebel. I'm the president of Branch 254, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I am the host of 613. Been a letter carrier for it seems like millions of years. Probably not as long as Corey, but hey, somebody's got to start first. um, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's an honor, like Corey says, to see all these guys here, the podcasters. These are the guys that get it done, and it's an honor to be a part of this. And I haven't been a podcast that long, but man, I'm very grateful to be a part of this, Richie. I want to thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for being on, brother. Keith, want to introduce yourself? Keith, without a last name. Well, you gotta get off mute, Keith.
Yes, my name is Keith Slusaw. I'm out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, of branch 274. I co-host 613 with Bill Kriebel, and I do not hold a union position now. My full-time job is to get Bill Kriebel elected. That's my mission behind this podcast. So, yeah, that's it. Getting
All
out
right.
to Region 12.
All right,
Yep.
brother. Elliot.
My name's Elliot Simmons. I am one of the hosts for On the Workroom Floor. Our mission has always been to provide actual insight on how to be a steward and how to be a steward in the meetings, because that's something that never happens. And I am currently a steward for Bismarck, North Dakota. I'm also running for Region 7 NBA on the
Okay.
CLC slate.
All right, brother. Alan.
Hey, my name is Alan Gigax. I'm the host of the Classes of Mail podcast. I deliver mail out of branch 2502 in Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't have any union positions right now. I was a Carrier Academy instructor for a long time and an on-the-job instructor as well. And teaching is my passion. So the reason that I started the podcast is because after the 4 days of the Carrier Academy and then the 3 days of on the job, there's basically no additional training for carriers. And I saw a need out there, not just to educate stewards, but to educate actual rank and file carriers on the basic stuff about our job that people lose track of. And so that's why Classes of Mail exists.
Awesome, brother. Joshua.
All right, it's the cream of the crop with the grievances that don't stop. The Roseville Wrecking Ball. Yeah, that's Joshua Shrum. Shrum, rum like the drink, Corey. It's Shrum, but yeah, it's I am the chief steward of the Roseville installation in Roseville, Michigan, beautiful city, Metro Detroit suburb. I started the podcast Parcels of Knowledge. I'm the only host of Parcels of Knowledge. It's okay. It's for education. I do interview some candidates, but for the most part, that's pretty much it.
All right. Austin.
What's going on, fellas? Thank you, Richie, for hosting this as well. But to get the introductions out of the way, my name's Austin Webb. I am out of Columbia, Missouri, serving for branch 763 here. I get to be the host of 763 from the 573. And I also get the honor to serve as a steward in my branch. So weird story, weird backstory, but that's another podcast for another day. I really started it as a way to get to connect and communicate with the members, because our branch is one of those ones that it gets to be spread out, where we've got offices that are 2 hours, 3 hours away, and they couldn't make the meetings, and they deserve as much representation and as much education as possible. So this was a way to just kind of start it on a whim and get them the education that they need, so that way they didn't have to worry about who to call, who to know, and then as well as just kind of being somebody that can give them a familiar voice. So when they at least hear my voice, they know they can now put a face to the name and be like, hey, that guy's got me.
Awesome, brother. James.
What's going on? James Capone. I'm the co-host of Next Generation Carriers. I'm also co-host of the President's Roundtable on Next Generation Carriers. I'm branch president of branch 764, Dedham, Massachusetts, from Hyde Park, Massachusetts. The mission behind our podcast mostly has been education, getting members activated, as well as on the roundtable, more in-depth discussion with multiple hosts that can kind of give their insights, breaking down articles, grievances, or other situations going on.
All right, brother. All right, nice to have all of you here. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to start with questions. I'm going to call off your name and I'm going to ask a question. Joshua, why did you start podcasting?
Oh man, off guard. I didn't realize I'm first. All right, so I started podcasting because I have a sister city named East Point, and there was a steward there that just asked me. He asked me to do it. He said, you have the ability to educate, so why don't you just start a podcast?" He's a podcast nut. He listens to every one of you guys, and that was the inspiration. Another carrier asked me to do it, and I said sure. I mean, he bought me a microphone, so I was obligated after that.
Awesome. Awesome. Bill Kriebel, what inspired you to create a postal podcast?
Well, I'm running for CLC business agent in Region 12. And within my region, I have a lot of people that still believe in the business agents that is in place. And he's able to go everywhere where I was being denied to go places. So what I did was I grabbed my man Keith Slusaw because he helps me with my campaign and I could carry a good conversation with him. And we went and started getting the leadership from the branches to come on the show. And every leader that came on the show, Richie, after time, they told the same story. There was challenges with the business agent. There's no support out of the business agent's office. So it actually worked as a very good campaign tool for me because it got me out there so that everybody can hear me. And it brought people to me to say, hey, I want you to come out to our branch picnics and stuff. So it was almost like campaigning in a sense, Richie. But now that the election's here, Keith and I have discussed that we want to open up the doors so we can have other people on. Like, Alan Gigax was our first person that wasn't a part of Region 12 that we had on, and we want to expand that more.
Well, let me correct you. I was the first person outside the region that was on. Just saying.
Yeah, but you're family though. It don't work like that because you're like family. Like you're only an hour away. So I always tell you, Richie, I could get in my car and come up there and scare the shit out of you real fast.
You are a brother, Richie. You are family.
I appreciate that. Corey, why is education through podcasting becoming so important?
Because the union's not doing it like they should, and that's the bottom line. Uh, I started it because a couple of people asked me to do it because smaller branches, smaller stations weren't getting education. Case files weren't being prepared properly, and so I started it, and then it turned into bigger branches are reaching out, advocates are reaching out, DRT members are reaching out. So I just don't think that we did education enough, and you can see that through the amount of the podcast. Look at Joshua Shroom's podcast. He he's he's one of the best educators you can find. But they all these you got what over 30 now, over 30 podcasts. So there's a need. The carriers want to be educated, believe it or not. Shop stewards want to be educated, believe it or not. The gatekeeping is not working anymore, and we've opened the avenue for people to be educated without the gatekeeping. Now, they can blackball us all they want to, but they can't blackball me from coming in here and getting on my microphone and educating the workforce. They can't do that, So education is critical, like you said. It's the most important thing. And you've got people that have done a few things that are knowledgeable. I mean, look at Alan Gigax. If you ever listen to him, that dude's brilliant. All these people on here do a fantastic job. And so it's that important. People are like, hey, you know what? If my union's going to gatekeep, I'll tell you what I know. And so that's what I do. I just informal, formal, arbitration advocate, whatever I've learned, I'm going to tell y'all. Why? Because when I die, I'll just take it with me. So I'd rather give it away before I do that.
Absolutely, brother. Alan, what responsibility comes with having a public platform?
So I think that varies depending on what your mission is with your podcast. But for me, educating rank and file carriers, I think that I have a responsibility to be accurate and to be correct. And, I see on Facebook all the time that somebody will ask a question like, oh, hey, this mailbox is blocked. What am I supposed to do? And all these people give answers, but nobody gives sources. And I'm a firm believer of something I learned as a steward. If you can't show it, you don't know it. And that's why I spend so much time on my podcast going to primary sources and actually reading the JCAM and reading from the ELM, because I have a responsibility that if I'm going to put myself out there as giving information to people, it has to be the correct information. And if I give out incorrect information, I have to be accountable and correct it. So I go to great pains to get primary sources whenever I can and to actually read the documents. And that's become a big part of Classes of Male's identity, is that I will read the source material. I will read the entire decision. I will read the entire manual, whatever it is. But at least you know that you're getting the accurate, correct information.
Absolutely. James, what has your audience taught you?
Um, a lot of education is needed, let alone in the grievance procedure. There's also a situation of carriers knowing what their state associations do, what their MBA officers do, what the assistant secretary treasurer does. A lot of people don't, basic carriers don't know the politics inside the NELC and how important it is, especially when we're going to be voting for people in those positions, knowing what they do and how the NELC runs.
Austin, how has podcasting changed your own perspective?
I mean, it's really kind of opened my eyes for real, because I think in the lineup here, I think the only one that's got a younger podcast than mine would be Bill's over there, and I'm not running for any position. So I think with it being said, it's just like I didn't realize how complex of a production it was for real. Like I thought it was just grab a microphone, plug it into a computer, and hit the record button, and then just go on about your business. But really, it's just been like, oh man, like anything you say in front of this mic is going to be almost like, Miranda righted over here, just sitting here being like, it will be used against you. And if you say the wrong thing, and Lord forbid you happen to be wrong about anything and not want to, come with some level of accountability about it and be able to actually own up to that to your audience, has been something that's been pivotal in my own recordings. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, the carriers are tough cats. They really are. When they get you, they get you. One sentence from everyone. What keeps you motivated to keep recording? Austin.
What keeps me motivated to keep recording is just to make sure that none of my carriers feel like they're left alone and that they're out there by themselves.
Joshua.
I just feel I have an obligation to share the knowledge that I got.
Alan.
Well, a lot of it is Michael brazenly pushing me to record. Hey, man, I want to come over on Wednesday and we got to get some more episodes recorded. But it's also my own personal learning journey. And this is stuff that I want to learn in my path as a letter carrier. And so I might as well bring other people with me.
Absolutely. Elliot.
Truthfully, I haven't recorded in a while. That's due to things in real life, all the steward work that me and Cole have been doing, and the fact that Cole just had a baby. But my inspiration has always been to better provide insight for the inexperienced steward.
Okay. Bill.
Feel like I allow people in the region that are coming on to have leadership, a voice to unleash their concerns that's going on inside the region. And as long as that's going on, I feel like I have a platform to allow them to do that, and I'll keep doing that.
Keith.
Unmute.
Got to unmute, brother.
Keith, you're 0 for 2 on that one, man.
You're 0 for
we're gonna
3,
have to send
actually.
you to another show.
Hey, old school, right? Hey, it's all about getting Bill Kriebel elected. That's why I got into it. That's why I'm doing it. But now it's turning to get out the vote. So we're focusing on that because you got to vote.
Absolutely. Corey.
It's all about education, brother. That's all it will ever be about, education. I've been a shop steward 20 years and I'm still learning. Formal lay advocate, still learning. And the people, I'm sure every single one of y'all on here get messages and calls about what would you do about this? What would you do about that? And you realize that it's all about education, whatever aspect that is, but it's all about education, brother.
Absolutely. All right, brothers, we're going to get into a tough topic here, the current state of the NELC. If you had to describe today's membership in one sentence, what would it be? Bill.
Oh man, you start with me. Fast sinking Titanic. I think people are really rank and file are really seeing the reality of what's going on within the NALC. We all talk about it on our podcast. There's too much bad going on. There's almost 300,000 of us. We need to stand united and be strong. We have to change. Richie, change.
Yeah. Keith.
They seem membership seems to me that they lack the understanding of solidarity. I don't know these young kids coming in, um, if they haven't been in a union household or anything or been around union people, they don't seem to have that solidarity. They're coming in, taking care of themselves only, and so I think that that's what they lack is that solidarity.
Elliot.
Tired and kept in the dark.
Absolutely. Corey.
I would say now, you look at everybody up here, I think that the workforce is educated. I think that they're pissed off at their union and the shortcomings. And I believe that that's going to be evident in this next election when it comes up. The overwhelming amount of people that are going to vote. I think we'll have more votes this year than at any time in our history. And it's because the city letter carrier has taken the time to educate themselves. Podcasts are educating the workforce on the shortcomings of our union. And so I think that the city letter carrier has stood up because they're pissed off. And I think everybody's fixing to see that coming up.
Josh.
Man, Corey, you got the one I was going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because I don't have time. Um, Apathetic and ready to vote like hell against Renfro.
Absolutely. Alan.
I think the vast majority of carriers are still basically checked out. You come in, you clock in, you do your work, you go home, and you don't really think about all the stuff that all the people on this podcast are talking about. But for those who now want to be empowered and want to be educated, that resource is now available, and we are genuinely empowering carriers.
Austin.
I'd have to just echo kind of what some others said. It's just the members are just apathetic. They don't care. They're just here to make a check, go home.
James.
Am I muted yet? I think a lot of members are actually more motivated and active than in the past. I've been in 20 years, and with social media, the podcasts, communicating about this stuff on the workroom floor. I remember going into offices and people couldn't tell you who the national president was, vice president, anything going on. Now I have people coming and talking to me about the CLC and Eddie and Mike and this person running for this position. And people are actually more interested in following up with it being out there on social media, podcasts, and being openly discussed.
Absolutely. Joshua, why has trust become such a major issue?
Well, I think that we have a leadership at the very top of the level, the people we're supposed to look up to, who has monumentally failed us, who has given us a reason not to believe in them, lied to us on multiple occasions, allowed management to run us over, steamroll us, and lied to us while doing it. They turned around and gave us the same contract, even though we voted against it in a stipulated award. And that's rotten from the core because you can see that reflecting in even local leadership, and it's all about politics from the top all the way down to the bottom. They're not about doing what's right. They're not about oftentimes they're not about getting the job done, which is what we should be focused on. They're about what can I do to future my career in the NALC so I don't have to carry my route. And carriers are just tired of that. They just want they want somebody who will actually get the job done for the right reasons.
Absolutely. Bill, is member engagement increasing or decreasing?
Well, I'm always a glass half full type of guy. I have to think because look, Corey's show came out on 7/7/21 and he started educating everybody. And I believe from that moment on, that the rank and file members started stepping up. Look at the groups that are all of a sudden forming. You got Build a Fight in NALC. You have all these other sub branches and people. You have all these podcasts, 30 podcasts. Like, I think that the membership's awoken to what's going on. So I have to think that it's increasing, but you also have the other side of the people that could decrease a little bit because they're nervous about what's all going on with national. Like, when you don't have any help from above, that becomes discouraging. And what do you hear? People want to get out of the union. You can't get out of the union because you have to vote to make the change. So, Richie, I'm going to go with the glass half full, and I think that we've opened the eyes of the rank and file and light blue.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you on that. Keith, what do long-time carriers see today that newer carriers may not?
I feel that they don't see strong leadership from national. There's the absence there. A lot of them were under Vince Sombrato, and they saw that strong union. They saw that solidarity. Now everybody's doing their own thing because they see the lack of leadership. And like Bill said, they lack the motivation. They just come in and do their job and get on. So I think it's that absence of strong leadership.
Elliot, how do we reconnect younger carriers?
The easiest way to reconnect with the younger carriers is actually getting them involved. You do that by dragging them to the meetings. Show them what things were like 20 years ago compared to today, and explain how we as a union have been failing and need them to be more active. And we do that by giving them more duties and responsibilities. Most of these young carriers have went their whole lives without being pushed to be better, actually challenged mentally. We have a huge opportunity to do this for our future of our membership. People want to be better. They naturally want a challenge. We just have to show them the challenge and show them that they can beat it. One of the biggest moments of my life in this union was when I had a president look at me and say, "You will do better because I tell you to be better." And I became better because of it. And he told me later, "I saw opportunity in you, I saw the light, and I knew you can get through it." And that's why I'm here today.
Amen to that. Corey, how do we build future union leaders?
With what we're doing here, with what we're doing on all these podcasts. You look at Next Generation Carrier podcast, uh, attracting the young people. That's exciting to me to see that. You look at BFN movement, it has an avenue for those individuals that are attracted to that. So you have a lot of opportunity for younger carriers that are coming in. Hell, I'm 57, and do a podcast to educate, but who do these young carriers go to? So you got a lot of individuals stepping up to educate young carriers, like Elliot Simmons said, you got to give them an avenue. If they don't have an avenue, they'll just check out on you. You got to get them involved. And that's what's happening with some of these podcasts as they're getting the young carriers involved, table two carriers, CCAs. Believe it or not, they want to be active. They want to help. You see that everywhere we go. James and I travel the country. Everywhere we go, you see that. You have that handful of young carriers. Say, "Hey, I just got in here. I've not been in here 6 months. I'm a steward." Yeah, who would have thought that? So that is the light at the end of the tunnel for me, is that you see this young generation. They're wanting somebody to help them get involved, and you've got that up here on this panel. You've got here. You got some great examples of that.
Absolutely. Bill, how do we encourage more women to step into leadership?
I think we do have women in leadership. Richie, I can rattle off a handful. Tina Weller, solid woman advocate. Anita Guzik, Rachel Pacheco, Kim Mortensen, Rocky Ocasio, Ethel Bibbs, Kamitra Simpson Lewis, Kathy Jones, Stephanie LaGreca, Debbie Dixon, April Liddy, Tammy Swaney, Dana Chambliss. I think we have them.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I think you're right. What should every elected union leader provide to the membership? Bill.
Education, transparency, integrity, accountability, structure. I think that I would start there.
Keith.
Yeah, I agree with Bill on, education is comes to the front. Leadership, they have to lead. You're the elected leader. You got to lead, and you got to show that work ethic. They see you working, they see you doing, they're going to come with you.
Elliot.
The one thing that was left in Pandora's box. Hope.
Nice. Corey.
Courage. I think that we have failed miserably in showing our letter carriers that we have courage. I think that I've said this for 2 years now, maybe more, that we have been drugged down into cowardice. And that's what's hurt our union more than anything else is cowardice. And when you're a coward, it doesn't matter about all these other things, education, transparency, all these things doesn't matter. If you're a coward and can't do your job, if you're not a leader, um, everything else is for naught. You've got to have courage at that position. And I don't see it. I don't see any of it. And so I would start with you got to have, when you got a leader, I need a champion up there. I need somebody I can look at and I can say, hey, that's my damn president right there. And be proud of that because that individual is going to show courage. And so I would say that.
Absolutely. Josh.
Man, you got to get me a little bit further away from Corey because every time we go after each other, it looks like I'm stealing his idea. But so the biggest flaw we got right now is that we're weak. We're weak against management. Management is steamrolling us in the grievance procedure. I think that no matter what leader you are, whether you're a supportive role in the grievance procedure, maybe you're a trustee, maybe you can vow to help the grievance procedure along, allow funds to go to grievance processing, things like that. Or if you're part of the procedure itself, I think every one of us should be given management the elbow of education, and not literally, figuratively, of course, but every one of these leaders owe it to the membership to start being aggressive and start pile driving them in the grievance ring, of course.
Absolutely. Alan.
Obviously, I agree with the things that the other podcasters have said. So I would add my own issue on here, which is leaders need to provide a path to success for their carriers, for the people they're leading, and the opportunity to contribute. Too many leaders in this union are so worried about protecting their own positions that they hold down the up and coming carriers, the people who want to contribute, who want to be leaders, who want to give to their branch and their fellow members. And instead of embracing that and bringing them in, they're pushing them out. And that's the opposite of what we need to be doing. We need all hands on deck.
Absolutely. Austin.
No, I think that what elected union leaders should be, at least a characteristic of them, should be a willingness to serve. And I think that goes back to kind of the last segment where we just heard a lot about what older members aren't hearing from younger members and what younger members aren't hearing from older members. And I think what it ends up being is that, at least in my perspective and what I've heard, is I've heard a lot of older members, older carriers talk about the glory days, the good old days. Well, for me right now in 2026, as a table two carrier and as a single father, I don't care about what happened 20 years ago. I care about what's happening today. I care about my rent being paid today. I care about making sure my kids get fed today. I care about, not necessarily being Amazon's punk and delivering all their packages, but it still is just like, we can't continue to look in the past for answers. We got to look forward to the future, and how we get new members involved is a way to, as a father, I need to be able to listen to my kids and listen to their input and be ready to be judged by them as well for my performance as a father. And I need union leadership to be able to do the same.
Absolutely. James.
Education, information, and motivation. Motivate their carriers, educate them, and give them transparency, give them communication.
Well, that brings me to this question, Corey. How transparent should leadership be?
Well, I've always said that, when we win every Tuesday, I'm going to tell you exactly what I've done the week before, who I've talked to. Have y'all heard the latest update on the collective bargaining? Did y'all hear that yet?
No.
It's because it hadn't come out. And so that's a problem. They have forgotten who they work for. What is the secret about things that going up? What is such a secret? I've not heard from anybody up there about anything. What you do, and people may say it's none of my business. Bullshit. I pay your salary. It is my business. You work for me. And so everything that you do, I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what's going on. And so, yes, I've always said transparency is the ultimate thing that we can give the city letter carrier to let them know we're not just sitting on our ass all day, not doing anything. And so, yeah, every Tuesday, I'll have a nationwide Zoom. I'll let you ask questions. I'll tell you exactly what I've done, who I've talked to, what's coming down the pipe, what they're proposing. That's transparency. That's what carriers want. I don't get why this is such a secret. The time's up on the collective bargaining. Where are we? What's happened? You're going to save it till the convention? Why? You know, talk to your people. Good God. I mean, shit. Uh, you make a lot of money because of us. Talk to us. And so, yeah, I think that it's critical that you are transparent in every single thing that you do. Transparency is critical.
Absolutely. James, how important is communication?
It's tenement. It's the most important thing. As a buddy of mine, Richie Galvin, says, for a service that deals in communication, we suck at it. And it's absolutely true. We should be communicating and getting our members involved, informing them what's going on. The more communication, the more active members are going to be. And that's how a strong union succeeds.
Absolutely. Alan, why is education a foundation of a stronger union?
Because if you're going to protect your rights, you have to know what those rights are. As a steward, you can't find every grievance. Grievances don't always make themselves apparent. If a carrier is being abused, there's not always a way for a steward to know about it. And so that carrier has to know what their rights are, what their responsibilities are, so that they can bring that to a steward's attention and actually make sure those rights get protected. And then on top of that, the carrier has to be educated enough to know how to do the job the right way so that they aren't under the thumb of management. When they know what the M41 actually says about doing their job, management can't fuck with them the way they can fuck with an uneducated carrier.
Absolutely. Joshua, as requested, you're going last. Where do you think the union is headed over the next 5 years?
Well, it could go one of two ways, of course. It all depends on how this election happens, but I truly believe that we're going to continue to raise a generation of fighters, that this union's going to go in the right direction, and we're going to fix what's going on, because otherwise it's going to head toward, of course, a very, very sad, dark path, unfortunately. So let's find out in LA and find out shortly thereafter during the election, see what happens.
Well, this brings me to the 2026 election. Let's get into that. Josh, you go first. Why is this election different?
Well, first of all, of course, you got the most choices you ever had in a long time. And I'm going to put my personal opinion out here. I don't say this on the air or anything like that. And might sound a little bit weird, but I think we never had the spirit of Vince Sombrado in our national leadership or in or around them running for election until today. The next Vince Sombrado is most definitely Corey Walton. And I think he's sailing this ship in a direction we needed to go. And I think it's just one of the most exciting times. Of course, hopefully everyone else feels the same way. But I think that there's a lot of good stuff to look ahead to.
Absolutely. Bill, why should every member vote? You gotta get off mute, Bill.
You know what? I was doing that too because I saw Keith on and I muted myself. I'll blame it on his ass. Look, if you don't vote, then others are going to decide it for you. I mean, that's plain and simple. But the NALC members, they should vote because it's how the members control the union's leadership and also the direction that the union goes within. The NALC always describes itself as a democratic union. They have officers that are elected by the membership and the delegates chosen to run this stuff. So you have to vote. Like if you want change, you have to vote. It's as simple as that. Look, it also helps decide who represents your branch and your interest. If you have certain ways that you believe, then obviously you want to kind of lean that way. If you got somebody that's not transparent and they don't have no integrity of what they're doing, then obviously you don't want to vote for that person. We are the body. We are the ones that can control the outcome of anything. It strengthens accountability since election leaders, this is how it has to be. You have to vote.
Absolutely. Austin, what happens when members don't participate?
Oh, I mean, the obvious answer is that you just kind of get shit on, really. I mean, but at the same time, you have to, when members don't participate, what ends up happening is they've delegated their right to vote and have a say in anything that goes on. So you've essentially just said, I'm going to lay down and take whatever is going to happen. And then you get up where I've seen this happen with members is they come back to it and complain about what's going on. And I guess my mic's acting up again. So I'm just, if it's still acting up, let me know. But what's happening is if you end up not choosing to participate, you're going to end up just choosing to just stick with whatever's going to happen.
All right. Alan, is this election about personalities or policies?
Well, in a popular vote election, personalities are always going to play a role. People are going to like people and not like people, and that part of it is inevitable. But I think in this election, policies will play a role more than they ever have before because we have so much better information available to us. I had James Henry on my podcast, and we talked about his platform and the CLC platform. I've had Mike Cariff on the podcast. We've talked about his platform. But the status quo, I have not seen a platform out of Eddie Davidson, and I doubt there will be one because that's the normal way. It's, oh, this is the name you know. These are the people you know. We don't have a platform. The platform is the status quo. But now we have all this additional information. And it's not just information if you happen to read the postal record, it's information that's made intentionally accessible. That's why all of us are podcasting, so that we can give that information to people while they're out doing their routes. And that's never been available before. So I think more than any election in the past, this election will hinge on policies more than it ever has before.
All right. Corey, what would you say to members who remain undecided?
Well, just like Alan said, you got to educate yourself. You got two individuals with a platform. They put it out there constantly. You look at Mike Carey's page; he's got his on there. Everywhere he goes, he talks about it. You got James Henry; he's put his out there. Everywhere he goes, he talks about it. Which one is more attractive to you? I think the CLC brings a level of militancy that nobody else will. And I think that that's attractive to a lot of people because of the way that we've been run over, like Josh Strum said earlier. And so, you have those different things. I think Alan said it perfectly. You've got people out there telling you this is exactly how it's going to be when we take over. I hope that you like it. You've got Mike saying that. You've got James saying that. Again, I think that the CLC brings a level of militancy that this union's not seen in a long, long time. And that's the reason I'm part of it, because I believe in that. And you got, I also think I agree with Alan that you probably won't see one from the other slate because it's the new slate, same as the old slate, and that's not a slap at them, but that's you already know what they're going to do. They already have a record. They've shown it before, and so yeah, I believe that's how it's going to be.
All right. One thing every member should research before casting a ballot. Bill.
Myself, I'm looking at people that have good communication, somebody that's going to want to go out there and fight. I would want to know that somebody that has integrity, that's not blowing smoke up my ass, because you know how gaslighting could go on in these things. I definitely think that they should have structure, discipline, accountability, somebody that sets high standards. I mean, these are just the basic things, but every member should research the candidates. Look at their records, look at how they work, see what they do. Like every one of us are podcasters. You could hear everybody knows our positions because they listen to us. Everybody knows that Corey was a advocate for arbitration, a solid one at that. Everybody knows I'm a president. Everybody knows Capone's a president. You know, it works its way around. So do your due diligence. You got to research who you want. Like, look, you could, if everybody out there smart, you could see when there's smoke and mirrors. You could tell when you're being gaslit. They're the things that you got to look at, and you got to look at the who has this integrity and the transparency that you want to move forward, Richie.
Absolutely. Keith.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what to do. You go on concernedlettercarriers.com and you vote for the CLC. That's how you research. That's how you do it.
Amen to that.
I
Elliot.
didn't pay him. I didn't pay him for that.
Elliot.
I want every member to go back a year and a half ago when the TA was shoved down our throats, even though we voted it down 7-3, and then look at the ballot. How did everyone on the ballot react to what Renfro did? Did they admonish him? Did they say nothing? Did they say he did the right thing? I want members listening to understand something. The way that the people on the ballot react to this is a lot about what they think about you, the city letter carrier. If they admonished Brian, they support the will of the members. If they say he did the right thing, they support Brian's willful disregard for the membership and their voices. And if they said nothing, that's almost as worse than supporting what Brian did, because a leader leads. A leader is not silent, especially when those that they're responsible for are being treated like idiots. If you stood there and said nothing, in my opinion, you are worse than Brian Renfro, because you didn't have the backbone necessary of a leader. A good leader stands up for those that lead. A bad leader stands up for themselves. And a leader that doesn't stand up at all isn't a leader.
Amen to that. Corey.
Say it again.
One thing every member should research before casting a ballot.
I would say the entire slate. I mean, what does your slate looks like? What does your slate look like? If your slate looks like what we've got, and that's what you want, is what your union is right now, then that's an easy choice. If the slate is those that you have looked at, you've listened to, you've researched, and they bring a level of militancy that you're needing from your union, that you're wanting to see at every level, then that choice is easy. But I think it will be slates. I don't think an individual has an opportunity. I don't think they got a chance. I think that it'll be one of the two slates. I think you've got a slate that has shown you what they're going to do because they're already in there. If that's what you want, like I said, that's easy. But if you want something different, something that's, you got a gentleman that's got a huge military background that has formed a slate that's kind of like that, that's militant, then you have that. But educate yourself on the slates, not just one person, not just two people, not just the top four, the slate. What have they done? And I think the choice will be easy for everybody.
Absolutely. Josh.
Okay, I got two things. First, you should research, get to know your retirees, because I think that it's going to be very important that we call them and phone bank them, because they're not here to know what's going on the workroom floor. They don't understand anything different about the establishment than before. They think, to them, they're just retired. They don't know what Renfro's doing if they're not paying attention. So we got to get out there and talking to our retirees and make sure that they have our back. In addition to that, probably the most important thing you need to research is the do's and don'ts of casting your ballot. What can you do? What can't you do in order to invalidate your ballot or validate your ballot? Because that's a big deal too. You don't want to write on the outside. You don't want to leave it outside the envelope or whatever the rules say. We're going to make sure that our votes count this election season. We got to make sure that we're doing it right, because that's something we see in a lot of local elections is people don't know how to follow the rules, and that's going to be very important.
All right, Alan.
Joshua, that was a fantastic answer. That's such a practical thing that people need to be aware of. So for me, I'm going to go back to the platforms. These are the stated goals that these candidates have, and they're in writing. And so people should be accountable to them. On Bill Kriebel's platform, it says that he's going to give special attention to OWCP and making sure that injured workers are taken care of. And so when he gets into office, if you're an injured worker, you better be able to know that you can count on Bill Kriebel. And for the people who don't have a platform, and then to me, what they're saying loud and clear is that I'm not planning on doing anything different. I'm going to keep things the way they are. And if you're satisfied with that, can't imagine why you would be. But if you are, great, then vote for those people. Otherwise, you're looking at the platform and seeing which stated values align most closely with your own values.
Austin.
First things first, before I think anybody casts a ballot, I think you need to get on the members only portal and make sure your address is right. Because if I remember the last time I got a ballot, it was at a bad address. And fortunately enough, I was still in the same office as my carrier for that house. So I had to make sure that happened. But I mean, thing that you need to know to research is make sure whoever you're voting for, you trust. And that's what I would say.
All right, James.
I would say the morals of the people running, where they stand. Are they going to stand up in a room if they're the only ones that are for an issue or against an issue? Where do they stand, and are they fighters that are actually going to do what they feel is best for the carriers?
All right, now this leaves us to this, the future of the Postal Service. Corey Walton, is the Postal Service really broke?
No, they're not broke. Postal Service is using that facade to gain some kind of leverage with Congress. And you see some people calling them out. I mean, you look at Hawley right now calling them out. And they're not broke. They make a lot of money, and it's mismanaged. And I think that that's going to be exposed big time once we take over, because I'm going to make sure of that. But no, we're not broke. The Postal Service will be fine. They're looking for the easy way out by asking Congress to give them more money and raising these limits and stuff. That's the easy way out. They're not wanting to do the hard work and get rid of their own and make those tough decisions. And so, no, they're not broke. They just need to be managed better. And it looks like Congress is fixing to hold them to that.
Now, Corey, are you trying to tell me that the Post Office is actually lying?
Richie, I've been doing this a long, long time. They will lie to you.
Oh, wow. All right, Joshua. Oh, Austin, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, being the guy from Missouri where Holly's at, I'm glad Corey brought up Senator Hawley, because I just wanted to point out on this podcast, at least, when the day that Holly turned in that investigation, magically all our ODLs started being able to work their non-scheduled day. Magically, all the mail started getting delivered. Magically, they were working everybody to 12 plus, if that's what they wanted to do. And so I need every single person listening to this to contact their congressman and get them involved and make sure that this ends up being nationwide, and especially with the new bill that Holly just introduced about getting rid of their bonuses.
All right, Joshua, what do the financial numbers actually show?
What numbers? They're not giving us any, but I do have something to say about it. So ever since the beginning of time, management has not had a consequence for saying that they're broke, for spending the money wrong. They turn their pockets out inside out when it comes time for a contract, and that's the only benefit of spending the money wrong. So over a very long time, they've been doing things like really bad mismanagement, paying twice. Like for example, uh, they have metrics where they get a bonus or pay for performance, where they violate the contract in order to get those metrics so they can get a bonus. So two people get paid instead of the one thing that needed to happen. So they're going to not give the overtime, and it's going to be a grievance. Then they got to pay the carrier for not doing the work. And then the other guy gets the bonus. So that's the way the Postal Service has always worked. Double paying for everything, hiring too many management to try and intimidate. I think that what the financial numbers really show is a vast amount of lack of integrity with their finances.
Absolutely. Bill, what should carriers understand about the USPS finances?
Well, they should understand a lot of things. I kind of agree with Corey to backpedal. We're not broke. Kind of agree with Josh. Look, there's a lot of things that they should understand. They cry they're broke, but they're not. I always look at the post office like the military, right? It's a self-funded operation. It's a government-ridden thing. As long as they are hiring more supervision, they got this fleet of vehicles that are running everywhere that nobody seems to have. They have a high turnover of CCAs because they can't keep them. You have $1 billion in non-compliance grievances. The picture's painted that they're broke. This is why the picture's painted, because they're broke. This is the real facts. Like Corey says, receipts. This is the receipts. This is what the public don't know. That's why the organizations, the organizing and stuff like that comes out to make the public aware of this, because the public has no clue to this stuff. They get bonuses. How are we broke if they're hiring more supervision and they still get bonuses? That's the question.
That is a good question, brother. That is a good question. Alan, are financial concerns being used to justify operational changes?
Yeah, of course they are. And it's reasonable for the post office to consider operational changes when we're in financial straits. But the changes that you see happening, like the Delivering for America plan, for me as a lay outsider, it just seemed like a way for the postmaster to funnel money into trucking companies. Oh, we're going to save money by using XPO Logistics for a whole bunch of stuff. And by the way, that's the company that I used to run and have a financial interest in. With our current postmaster having been with FedEx or UPS or wherever he was from, you know, he's using the finances as an excuse to make changes. And it looks to me like he's trying to move toward privatization, to get rid of the parts of the post office that are not profitable, because we're a service and that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so, yes, changes are reasonable in changing financial times. But what I see is the post office being dismantled.
Yeah. Elliot, which operational changes concerned you the most?
The total and complete disregard for mail matter other than packages. The Postal Service only cares about delivering items that can be tracked, when in reality the citizens in which we provide service to want their mail more than the packages. Also, the willingness to pay astronomical amounts of overtime instead of hiring more employees in order to avoid paying benefits and making the union stronger.
Absolutely. Austin, what changes are carriers experiencing on the workroom floor?
Well, the obvious one is that we've got way more postal managers than we've ever had before. So then we've got somebody that's following us around, monitoring us, asking us what we're doing, sitting stationary, and telling us to speed up and beat the heat and not giving a damn whether we pass out on somebody's front yard or not. It's amazing how they can get a message that we've been stationary for 10 minutes, but they can't get a message that somebody's been laying in somebody's front yard for 2 hours. And so,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're talking about what are carriers experiencing now, forget the mail volumes, forget the Amazon packages, forget all that. We're experiencing much higher levels of just bullshit, to put it plainly. And I've said it on a different podcast, and I'll say it here. I think we need a steward for every manager we have. I want the union on the manager's hip. So if they want to hire more managers, give us more stewards. Change article, what is that, 7, or that gives us stewards? I can't. I'm
17.
blanking on it. But still, like, change that to where we can just meet with one-on-ones. Here, since you want to follow me around, I'm gonna meet with you, and I'm gonna bug you, and I'm gonna harass you.
Absolutely. I like that idea. Corey, are management's decisions contributing to today's problems?
Oh, 100%. You got complete buffoonery coming down from labor. I read it all the time on my episodes. You know, you got, first off, they've hijacked the grievance procedure. That's no longer ours. They've taken that from us. But you got this, what was that, Elston letter? Was that what I read?
Yep.
Where he talks about no more cease and desist, even if you agree to something that's not binding. How foolish is that? Now that's fixing to happen nationwide. And so you're going to have, like JB's perfect example. He's been getting the same remedy forever. And then his formula comes in and says, man, I can't do that anymore. We're going to have to send everything up. That's by design. That's what they want. They want to flood the system. They don't want to resolve anything. And yes, and we've let them do it. And it goes back to cowardice. We've let them do that to us. We're not holding them accountable. But as long as we have that, you'll have these letters coming down like that idiot coming out saying, hey, even if something's signed, we're not going to agree to it. What is that? No more cease and desist. Send that up. If you need to pay somebody, call this person and they'll call that person. So, they're taking completely out of control of the shop of the supervisor, Formal A's. It's a joke now, and that's because we've allowed them to take over our grievance procedure.
Josh, you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to make note here that that memo that Corey's referring to, they say the word consult, a higher level consult. That's just code word for we're not going to resolve that because there is no consulting going on. The bosses are not going to want to consult. They're not going to care. They're going to tell them, what the fuck are you calling me? Just send it up. And that from then on, they're not going to call them. So it's just a code word for violating Article 15.
Absolutely. Keith, where has management lost credibility? Gotta go off mute, Keith.
0 for 4.
Keith.
Just
Mute
hang
button,
up
buddy. Mute button. Come
Is that
on,
the
we
one
were
that
on the
you gave me
flow.
too, Bill?
We were moving
Hey,
along,
listen.
brother.
Hey, listen. How can you be credible when you hire people off the street to be your supervisor that have no knowledge about the post office, no knowledge about the carrier duties and responsibilities? They have no leadership. They're just puppets. That's all they are, is puppets. So how can you have credibility when you don't even know how to run a company?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alan, can USPS succeed without management reform?
I think that right now we're extremely top heavy. And one of the things that blows my mind about the expansion of management is a big chunk of what they do is data entry. And we should either A, have like some sort of clerk doing that data entry. Anybody can do data entry. But B, with all these advances in computing, how the hell do we need more managers now than we had before? And we have computers doing more and more of the work. We have less and less mail. What the fuck are these managers doing? And I think a big part of the problem is that the people who decide how much management we should have is management. And of course, they want to expand their ranks because they want to make sure that they have their own job. And it's all at the expense of the city letter carrier and ultimately the public.
Well, I tell you what, Alan, I think I know what they're doing. They're on telecons all day, sitting there talking about how they're going to screw the carrier. That's what they're
Ain't that
doing all
true?
day.
Yeah, that's right. And so, yes, it needs reform.
What role should Congress play in protecting the Postal Service? Keith.
I think I think they should have oversight over these board of governors. These board of governors are making decisions and allowing management to mismanage. It should fall on them. So where is Congress here to right the ship? You know, they put in these lackeys or these people that give money to different uh, presidents or leaders, and they're in a position that they don't even know how to do. They're puppets too. So
Elliot,
that's where I would go. I would go right there.
Elliot,
I would have to say Congress's roles, the main ones, are to ensure that the Postal Service is providing proper service to the people of the United States, because providing proper service to its people is going to protect it long term, and by ensuring that labor laws are being followed, because at the end of the day, the employees are the service.
Austin.
I think for starters, I think Congress needs to put on their NASCAR jackets and let us know who's all paying their bills. And they need to remember who actually voted them in, and that's the public. And that's the role that Congress needs to do, is actually listen to the people, listen to their constituents, listen to the people that put them in that office, just like our national, and make sure that they actually start serving the public the way they're supposed to and not their donors.
Corey.
Those are perfect answers. They got to remember that we are a service. You have those. You hear Rand Paul. They want us to be a business. We are not a business. We will never be a business. That's not what we're designed for. That's not what we were founded on. We are a free service. That's already putting us at a disadvantage. We're a free service to the people by the people. We cannot let them forget that. And we did inundate with commercials or whatever. I'm a huge proponent of that, to let the public understand who we are, what we are. We receive no tax money. We are a free service to you, to the elderly. We're a free service to them. We don't need to charge them any money to get mail delivered. Asinine. But they need to understand and be reminded that we are a free service, which puts us at a disadvantage, but it's constitutional. And that's the one thing that we need for them to understand. We are free to the country, to every person, every individual has a free service in the Postal Service. And we need to make them understand we are not a business and we will never be a business. We're different. And so, but their answers are perfect.
Josh.
All right, so I got two things. All right, so hopefully you got a little bit of time. But the first thing is, Congress needs to stop this lobbying by the logistics e-commerce individuals. So since the beginning of time, since the creation of the Board of Governors, and all those folks that are in charge of lobbying and controlling the prices, they are giving discounts to the e-commerce. They're filling their own pockets. They're related to e-commerce, and they're trying to keep the price of postage on packages down so that they can line their own pockets. That needs to stop. Second of all, you guys, the questions posed, what should they do? Well, I'm going to answer the question as what they're supposed to do, because the United States Postal Service was created by an act of Congress, and that act of Congress resulted in 39 U.S. Code 101. This U.S. Code was reformed in multiple occasions. When you hear the Postal Accountability Act of 2007, Postal Reform Act of 2022, that's usually the majority of the reform language is found in 39 U.S. Code 101. And with that being said, they also have oversight. There's an oversight committee. That's why we see these things on TV, because that committee is in charge of oversighting the Postal Service's business and ensuring that 39 U.S. Code 101 and other applicable laws are being applied, and of which the main focus should be on, first of all, that delivery should occur at least 6 days a week. This is not happening. And when you say 6 days a week, I'm sure that the people who wrote that didn't mean some people 6 days a week. They meant the entire country. Additionally, It says that in rural areas and communities where post offices are not profitable, that they should get the same universal service as anyone else. Again, this needs to be followed. It's not being done. In some areas, they're willing to spend penalty. This is because they're making a profit. Other areas, they're underwater. They're telling them no penalty. We're not delivering that mail. Additionally, they're expected to make sure that they're providing prompt, reliable service. This is again not happening. Everything they do is against prompt, reliable service. We're about as far away from that goal as possible because they keep extending more and more the date that a letter gets somewhere. If you send something within your own city, it takes a couple weeks now. Sometimes, as shitty as that sounds. So, I think that they should just do their job of enforcing it, and I think they're at the cusp of at least making an attempt to look like they are. You know, you saw Josh Hawley, and I hope that they follow through on that.
Yeah. Bill.
Well, Congress should protect the Postal Service by preserving it because it's a universal public service that we have. It's not a privatized or a politically weakened one, you know? The Postal Service, it's weird because look, everybody sees what we do out in the streets. They know we work in these heat conditions. They see us in the winter when we're freezing our asses off. They see us when the mail isn't getting delivered. You know, they need to step in and protect us. Even when it comes down to the Federal Retirement Fairness Act, like here we are, we're just letter carriers trying to get the time back that we already served. They could help us with that. Um, Same thing with us getting robbed in the streets. These are the things we present to them. When we go down to DC to lobby on the Hill, we bring things forth to them. But the service right now is shot and we need help. They're the people that could essentially help us. They're the people like we heard before with the Board of Governors. They could stop this stuff. Look, we're a service. We supply service to people that need help. The rural carriers, the woman, the old lady that lives out on Old York Road that can't get nowhere, but we take her meds to her every day. That's how we should operate. So Congress absolutely should step in and protect us. Look, they got to protect us in many ways, Richie, because they got to protect us from the beast that's trying to run the damn operation wrong. But they got to protect it to the part where we're a service. 100% service. And right now, that service got kicked in the nuts hard.
Absolutely. Alan.
You know, there are so many things that Congress does that they have no business doing, no business funding. They meddle in all sorts of things that they have no constitutional mandate to meddle in. But then we have the Postal Service, where Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7 specifically says that Congress shall provide for the Postal Service. And somehow that's the thing that they don't want to put any money into. It's madness. Congress absolutely has an obligation to make sure that the Postal Service operates as a public service for the United States. It is in the Constitution, and that's Congress's job, is to do what they are assigned to do. So they got to get on the stick. They got to do what it takes for the Postal Service to continue to be the constitutionally required service that it is.
Absolutely. I want each of you to identify one issue that deserves much more attention nationally. One issue, 1 minute. Corey.
Within the union,
Within the union, within the Postal Service, whatever you feel.
one thing that deserves more attention nationally. I would say that at the top of the list would be carrier safety. I would say that that would always be at the top of the list. Anything that needs to be done and given more attention to is safety. I don't believe that as a union we have put enough time and effort into the safety of every city letter carrier across the country. You look at the summer months, you know, the post office, Richie, Christmas sneaks up on them every year. You know, when you work with the post, they're not prepared. It's
Never.
like it's going to be Christmas again, and you aren't ready. Summer's the same way with the union. It sneaks up on them every year, and next year there's going to be another summer, and then the next year after that there's going to be another summer. And what have we done? I've been working for the Postal Service 34 years. It's the same shit every summer. We're not ready. I think that my union needs to focus more on the safety of the city letter carrier. I was in the Jeeps. I started out driving the Jeeps, no air. Then we have the LLV, no air. FFV, no air. And so, when is the city letter carrier going to take priority to this union when it comes to safety? And we are not priority. And I've not heard anything from anybody up there about safety of the city letter carrier during the summer with the scanner messages, with management's instructions on you get no additional breaks. And they'll be like, well, the local, I don't want local to do shit. They're going to do, when we address it, they'll grieve it. But I want somebody to have a position at national that addresses the safety of the city letter carrier nationally so that we can see that you're doing something nationally. If we had a position where they did that, like a director of safety and health, that would be fantastic to have somebody up there say, hey, this is what we're going to do nationally, and we're going to address it because I'm sick and tired of my carriers being dead and us just up here with our thumb up our ass. Do something. And so that's where I would say we need to start there. Nothing more important than the carrier's safety. We're going to take care of the toxic working environment. James Henry's put an emphasis on that. We're going to take care of that. But right now, safety of the city letter carrier is paramount. It's got to be.
Absolutely. Bill.
I got to agree 100% with Corey. I mean, safety is the number one thing. He laid it all out. You can see how passionate the Corey is too about the safety because he's 100% right, man. When it's 110 degrees out, there's got to be some kind of a cap where we're not out there in that heat. Look, when roofers are doing roofs, they're not out in 100-degree weather putting a roof on the roof. They'll be laying on the sidewalk. Same thing with the carriers. Way too many more of our carriers are dying because they're out in fucking heat that they can't. You could cook an egg on the fucking vehicle. That is bullshit. When it's negative 18 degrees outside and you got carriers getting frostbite from being out in the cold for 2 minutes, that's a problem. Not having air conditioner in the vehicles. You got dogs chasing you down the street. You got fucking hurricanes, tornadoes, Canadian smoke. What are we doing on the national level? HIP violations. Corey, you left that one out. The HIP violations. I can guarantee 100% not one of us ever took a HIP training on this podcast right now.
I don't even know what the fuck it is. I know I heard of it, but I don't even know what it is.
It's ridiculous, Richie, but these are the things, not giving us water. Look, I understand we have to bring our own water to work, but how about a little common courtesy? Because we are the grunts of the post office. Without us, there is no post office because you don't see anybody getting off their fat fucking ass and going out in the street. When they want to do street observations on us, they're sitting in their fucking car. And air conditioning, watching us walk around the street. Not on my watch, man. Get out. You can't observe me from where you are. Sweat. Learn how to sweat. It's bullshit.
I love you, Bill.
Now you got me pissed off. Don't ever have me follow Corey Walton when the question and go back to Josh.
I fucking love you, Bill. I tell you, man, you fired me up, bro. Keith.
That's my future NBA right there for reaching 12. You gotta love that guy, man. I'm telling you, if there's anybody that's gonna fight for you, and it's this man right here, brother. Anyway, safety is definitely the answer here, right? But our union nationally, there has to be transparency. There is no transparency whatsoever. They're doing things in the blind. Even the people there don't even know what's going on. So naturally we could talk about safety all day because that's what's really important. But for our national, it has to be transparency. They are not transparent at all.
Alan.
I think we all pretty much agree that safety is number one. So at the risk of repeating what the other folks have said, I want to focus on the treatment of carriers on the workroom floor, especially CCAs. Management can make bullshit arguments about money that, we just can't afford to put air conditioning in the trucks, or the mail has to go out whether it's smoky or not. but treating someone like an actual human being, it doesn't cost a cent. That is absolutely free. You just have to be willing to do it. And that's a huge reason that we lose new carriers, because they're brought in and they're treated like machines, treated like slaves, treated like non persons, when it is such a low bar to just give someone their basic human dignity. And management can't even do that. So that's got to be a priority.
I love you, Alan. I love you, brother. Elliot.
I'm not going to go what they all went with. Uh, Getting younger people in the postal service by being more competitive for wages and benefits at the start of their careers. We do a terrible job of hiring people, especially younger people. We are getting closer and closer to the career employee gap created by the implementation of TEs. We have employees retiring fast, and we're about to run into an almost 10-year stall of consistent retirements. When you first start out, you figure out when you're going to make regular. It's one of the first things you look at. And pretty soon, these carriers are going to have to wait a whole decade. We have to be competitive. We have to have a competitive package to counter that and give the carriers a reason to stick around.
Josh.
All right. Number one, undelivered mail. That's our very job, is to deliver the mail. And I got a couple things. We need to first keep graving these things. We need some wins. We need some. So we got a couple, but we need like a good structure of what to follow in order to win these things. And number two, more importantly, just because of the fact that it's coming up real quick, I need everybody to help me get this convention resolution passed. My branch submitted 2 resolutions that I wrote. It's legislative and contractual about this undelivered mail. We got to make sure that passes at the convention, because one of them's asking for the Postal Service, for the NALC to take a bargaining position that this is a violation, something that when we file these grievances, then they can't say, hey, it's not a grievance, because the membership is the number one body. So if we vote yes, then they can't tell us it's not a grievance, because we made the NALC take a contractual position that it is. And the second one is trying to get the NALC to use its legislative power to be able to get this issue resolved. I think that's the number one thing we got going on right now, because they'd rather just not deliver the mail.
Yeah. Austin.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Alan was saying. It expanded a little bit. Is that I think one issue that really needs to be brought more attention to is just men's mental health and what goes on around that, especially in the male dominated industry. Right now, we're at a round table with a bunch of men, and oftentimes what we hear growing up is that you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to feel anything except anger or happy. And what ends up happening is this high stress job stresses you the fuck out. I'm just going to drop the F bomb here and there, but it stresses you out. You go home, you deal with shitty ass managers, and then all the person that you end up accidentally taking it out on is the people that are at home. And that was something that I've had to deal with. And again, different podcast, but it's just more of like, every 15 minutes, another man takes his life in this country. We've been on this podcast for an hour and a half. So 6 men have decided to end their own lives. We're the number one employer for veterans, 22 a day, right? Why aren't we sitting there supporting our brothers all the way through? I mean, I feel like as union leaders, we're supposed to see them all the way through. We're supposed to be there for them. I understand having boundaries. I understand going home to your family and making that a priority. But at the same time, when your brother's hurting and that EAP line isn't doing what it needs to do, you need to be there to give them a ride to where they need to go. You need to go hold their hand. You need to take that beer bottle out of their hand. You need to take that cigarette out of their hand and actually just hug them. Because oftentimes that's what they want. That's what they need. They're feeling lost, and that's where we really need to focus on, is making sure these men actually make it to see tomorrow.
Absolutely, brother. Now let's have a discussion on a few topics here. Everyone gets 1 minute per topic. Let's go with the national agreement. Bill.
Man, where to start? Don't know nothing. I mean, like we're kind of like in the same boat we were last time. I mean, I know they're trying to shove some shit down our throat again, but I couldn't tell you the economic package. I couldn't really tell you much about anything other than they want to go to a 4-day delivery.
Keith.
Yeah, we haven't heard nothing. Well, can't talk about nothing, but it's just compliance. They're violating every day. We need that cease and desist language back. Back in my day, that it stopped everything, or it was escalations. Whoever
Elliot,
did that should be ashamed. Yeah.
We
Elliot.
need to we need to re-empower the national agreement. Management doesn't care. We need to give them a reason to care. Also, 15.3a, why can we not get some language saying that they have to comply with grievance settlements? Quit making me try to juggle this bad faith argument. My counterparts don't get it. The supervisors don't get it. And they'll never get it because let's be honest, most of them can't even read.
You sure about that?
I am sure of that. I've read some of their contentions, man.
Corey.
Agree with all of them. The national grid, the JCAM, I've said this 1,000 times. I know y'all heard me say it. It's the only protection we have against management, just like the Constitution is the only protection we have against our agent. And the JCAM, it is irrelevant right now. Now you have shop stewards filing grievances. You have them educating themselves, doing a good job, filing grievances that they should. You've got Formula A's doing a great job, and the process has been taken over. So I like what Elliot said. I agree with him. You've got to give us something, some substance to it. I know that management's wanting to do away with Article 15 as written. They want to have different processes to send the grievances forward, and that's one of the things that we balked at. But they're doing everything humanly possible to keep them from being held accountable to a signed grievance settlement. I do know that. And so that's obviously something that will take us to national arbitration. We can't ever give that. Well, I mean, Renfro could because him and Barner haven't been too strong for us. But yeah, it's just we've got to hold them to it, and we're not doing a very good job. And as far as what's going on now, hell, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on now. Just like Bill said, what's the update? What's happening? What are we looking for? What's being proposed financially? What's being proposed contractually? What does anybody have any idea? I don't know anything. And I'll get an update saying that, well, we met and we talked, and we talked and we've met some more, and probably what we're going to do is talk. Hell, we know that. What are we talking about? And so, yeah, that goes back to transparency. But what everybody said, I agree with that.
Josh.
State of affairs.
All I gotta say is this contract better not be historic, and it better not be a few weeks away, because I don't want that to happen again.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Your mouth to God's ears, brother. Alan.
So one of the things that I heard that's proposed in this contract that actually worries me is the proposal to do a one-time elimination of everybody's letters of warning. And the reason that worries me is because that's like the jingling keys. That doesn't cost the post office any money to do something like that. And carriers don't really get any tangible benefit from losing a letter of warning, but it's something to look at. Like, oh, isn't this nice thing? You don't have to worry about that discipline anymore. And if that's one of the ideas that's being put out there, like, oh, look at this thing we're going to do, man, that's really troubling. That means that we don't have proposals to hang our hats on. And that's awful. And to dovetail on something, I think it was Corey mentioned it, the wording in the JCAM. One of the things I would love to see in this new contract that I don't think I'm going to see is like better definitions of terms. And a big example is in Article 8 for equitability, what actually constitutes an opportunity? Because management has their definition and it sure as hell ain't our definition.
Right.
And when I talk to people from around the country, the answer is always like, oh, well, in my installation, we do it this way. This is something that we've been doing for 30 fucking years. How do we not have it dialed in what the definition is? And this doesn't cost anybody any money. We just have to freaking do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you knocked it right, dude. I couldn't say that better. Austin.
No, as far as the national agreement goes, I guess we'll get an update in 2 more weeks. But you never know what's going to happen with that. I mean, it's probably going to be nothing again, and then it'll be 2 more weeks, and then it'll be 2 more weeks. And oh, hey, by the way, we're not going to schedule arbitration for during national convention. So you might as well wait 2 more weeks after that 2 more weeks. As far as the 4 day work week proposal, I've said it on my own podcast. I'm not going to entertain that conversation until there's actually something in writing and in front of me. Like I'll entertain it when that happens. I see both sides where people like the younger generation will be like, yeah, that's great. And then the other side's like, well, we're going to lose jobs. I really want to focus more on like the social media and podcast part because I think this roundtable itself is just being like all of us podcasters in here. I mean, I'm humbled to even be a part of this, especially with people like Corey and Alan that have been doing this for a long time. Josh, it's like social media and podcasting has been such an amazing way to connect with everybody and find more like-minded people that are, and even people that are able to argue and discuss with you why you might be wrong and give you a different perspective. I mean, you don't have to sit here and use it as an echo chamber, but it's such a valuable tool that I think National has been not so great at even using. I mean, the Fight Like Hell podcast, what was that? Something you put on your radio as white noise before you go to bed? Like, that's so monotone. It's just like, welcome back to the Fight Like Hell podcast. It's your host, Brian Renfro. And it's just like, man, like, all right, I'm just going to go to sleep now. Bye.
It's like melatonin.
Yeah, it was that was torture. That was torture. If you could change one thing inside the NELC tomorrow, what would it be? Bill.
Elect the CLC, put them in place. I think you need fighters. I think we need people to stand up for the voiceless. I think we need transparency. I think we definitely need integrity. It's been lacked for a long time. Got too many people now running around trying to do their jobs. Where the fuck were you 3 years ago? I needed you 3 years ago. We came out of COVID. It was a complete nightmare. People came to work, didn't know what the hell was going on, but we sacrificed our lives to come to work. We didn't know if we were going to bring something home to our family. We should have deserved something for that. What did we get? A pivot and a half. It's bullshit. I think we got to change the leadership. I think we got to start at the top, work our way down, get into the business agents, get some people in there to actually know how to run a business. Because at the end of the day, we're a business. We're a nonprofit organization that we're trying to run. We need to train our members on education, transparency, and integrity, and we need to hold people fucking accountable. That's the problem we lack. That's the problem we lack with management. Nobody holds them accountable. They could do whatever they want. What's the repercussions for their actions? There is none. So they're going to keep doing it. We need to get back to where we used to be. Get back to cease and desist language as long with the escalated remedies. Like, how the hell are you going to stop? Cease and desist means to stop. Nobody's stopping. And if nobody at the top's going to help us make this stop, look, you got lists. You made all these lists. Now we fucked up the whole equability situation because now we got lists. Why? Article 8 didn't need fixed. It's a simple procedure. You have an ODL list. Use them. There's too many things, Richie. I have to go with change the leadership. We need to vote the CLC in, and we should have been in there a year ago.
Amen. Amen. Keith. You have to get off mute, Keith.
0 for 6. 0 for 6.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having my back there, bro.
I got you. I'm going to trade you to Alan Gigax for a box of Twinkies.
Hey, Bill said it all. I mean, what else can you say? There's people in place that allowed this to keep on happening. You have to vote them all out. If you don't vote them all out, then what happens? The same old thing happens. You don't get nothing. You don't get cease and desist. You don't get compliance. You don't get fight. And that's what we're here for, to fight. take this back. Vote CLC.
Elliot.
Every position our union must be a city letter carrier, from the secretaries to the IT folks to the national president. No more hiring outside the union. There is absolutely no reason to give a high paying job to someone that has never carried a letter in their damn life. We have talent amongst our city letter carriers, and we have a responsibility to go find them, just like how we find stewards.
Corey.
Everywhere I go, I say if there's a list, at the very top of the list has got to be integrity. It's got to be integrity. If you have integrity, you don't do things like vote against the Constitution. Like we saw with the charge when Mr. Rivera turned in the charge, and half the executive council, if not more, voted against the Constitution. When you do that, you lack integrity. When you turn a blind eye to financial things that you know for a fact are wrong, you lack integrity. You've got to put integrity back into this union if you want it to succeed. And right now we have none. And so it's obvious in the things that are going on with the way this clown has been allowed to do. Again, you look at him and Barner calling people, "Hey, look, I've got this charge on us. We're going to need y'all to vote against hearing the charge." As soon as you said okay, you should have been removed from your position because you voted against the city letter carrier when you did that. You're working for the city letter carrier, so it's integrity. That'd be the numero uno for me is integrity.
Absolutely. Josh.
All right. One thing I would change inside the NALC tomorrow, I'd like to see all these folks who are politically motivated, who like to turn their position into 2 6-month paid vacations per year because they're really doing nothing for the city letter carrier. I'd like to see all these people eliminated and only keep the fighters, the people who are actually getting the job done. I don't care if you're carrying mail while you're doing it. I do care. I agree with Elliot in the fact that they should have been a letter carrier to begin with, and that they should stay connected to the workroom floor in one way or another. If you get disconnected, you don't have to be on the workroom floor to be connected, but it's the easiest way to facilitate that. So there's going to be a few folks who still they could be grievance writers all year and still be connected to the workroom floor, but it's more common that you'd have to be actually working on the workroom floor. But either way, I'd like to see those folks eliminated that are just politically motivated about where they can get in the next few years.
Absolutely. Alan.
All right, first, Bill, we're going to have to talk about that trade because I can't tell you how many times I have wished that Michael Brazenly would keep his microphone on mute when I'm trying to get a show done. All right. So anyway, the issue that I would like to see changed is gatekeeping. Is, as someone in my own branch trying to get this position, trying to help people. And when I became a reformer, I had positions taken away and now I can't get back in because of the gatekeeping. I mean, I feel like I would be a pretty capable steward and a pretty capable trainer, and I'm being iced out. And so I'll give you a more concrete example on a larger scale is on the snooze fest of the Fight Like Hell podcast. One time Renfro was talking about Leadership Academy, and he's talking about what a great program it is and how much benefit we get from it. And he said, we did it for a while and we were worried that we'd run out of candidates, but we get flooded with these incredible candidates and we can only accept a small portion of them and the rest get rejected. And I'm thinking to myself, who benefits from that? If we have this great program and we have all these great people who want to take it, who the hell benefits from telling 90% of those people, no, you can't have it? Fuck that. We need to open this training up to everybody. We need these avenues to success open to everyone. Nobody benefits from holding that stuff back.
Alan, I think that's the first time I ever heard you curse.
I think maybe having Corey on here and some of the other guys rubbing off.
We're
on
rubbing
me.
off on you, right? Austin.
No, what I'd like to see change inside the NLC, if it's just one thing, is just like I want to see the restoration of the brotherhood. like really bring back that camaraderie that I don't care what you have on. Corey talked about it earlier on in his journey in podcasting. It was just like, I don't care what you believe in. I don't care if you're Jewish, Christian, Islam. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic. I don't care what, you know, who you're sleeping next to at night. I don't care. The fact is that you're wearing light blue. The fact is that you're sitting here delivering mail the same way I am. The fact is that when it comes to my office, you're delivering the mail and on a 94-degree day and 100% humidity because it just rained and you're sweating your ass off and you're sitting here almost passing out in your truck and management's wondering why you're taking extra comfort stops. Like this is that should be what matters. It shouldn't matter about, oh well, you support James Henry, or oh you support Corey Walton, or oh you support Cariff, or oh you support Davidson. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that you're my brother, you're my sister, and I love you, and I don't care. Like if they're coming after you, I'm coming in to defend you, and I'm going to be the first one on the front lines as your steward, as somebody that wants to be a leader in this organization, to take that bullet, to take that arrow for you, to sit here and say, get behind me because I can eat it. And you're not going to yell at the carriers like you just somebody or off the streets, or, that's what we need to see change is bring back the brotherhood, bring back the sisterhood, and encourage those that are around us.
You know, something, it's funny that you brought that up. And, you know, the NELC has got 200,000 members. Am I correct, Corey?
More.
280,
About 260, I think, right?
260,000 members. So our national president's got 260,000 bodyguards, but yet he still took our money and bought himself some bodyguards to protect him from us. Now, what kind of shit is that? What kind of shit is that? That's how fucked up this system is here. We got a national president that had to get bodyguards to protect him from his bodyguards. How fucked up is that? That comes to show you how dysfunctional this NLC has become. I don't know why you made me think of that, Austin, but
Well,
it's just fucking amazing.
Well, just him hiring bodyguards, if that's his body language and that's his actions, because actions are language too, it's just him showing that his own interests are his own. He doesn't care about the membership. If you need bodyguards, then you know that you shouldn't have gone against the membership because they're really to fight your ass.
Brothers and sisters that are listening right now, just as this right now, you have to understand the importance of getting your ballot in. Your voice matters more now than ever before. If you don't use your voice, then you have no complaint about your future. You got to use your voice. Bottom line. All right, final message. No interruptions, 2 minutes each. Austin.
I went off on a little tangent in that previous segment. And Elliot, I saw your hand up. So I just want to make sure that they noticed that. I kind of want to start off with a little bit of story. I'm glad to be in here with Corey Walton and the rest of you guys because, when I think about what my final message would be, I have to go back to a bit of my childhood where, I was raised by a single mom with a dad that rarely ever showed up. And part of what was amazing about being raised by that single mom that I had, who happens to be a bit of a role model for me, was she always reminded me to be the dad that I wish I had. And the thing about my dad is that he would always promise to show up or do this or do that. And so my message to any candidate listening is to sit here and not play with people's emotions. Don't sit here and spew out all the things that you're gonna do and make a bunch of promises just to be let us down. I'd rather you sit here, show us who you are, be the person that you are authentically all the time, and sit and just come here with an open mind and be ready to do the things that you say you're going to do. Don't fill the membership with a bunch of promises. Don't sit here and say, I'm going to show up for you. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to do all these things, because all that's going to do is just feed the line of betrayal, feed the line of hurt, and just sit here and make the membership more apathetic. So if I had to close this message out, it's to the national leaders and national candidates that are coming in here and saying, like, a lot of these carriers now have hope because of the three candidates that are running. I'm not just going to put it just on the CLC. We have options now. We have somebody that we know is going to replace this current administration, minus the Davidson ticket. It still is just going to be one of them things of being like, don't sit here and say, I'm going to show up for you and then be driving around in a Lambo because you found something prettier. Show up for the ones that you said that you were going to support, that you made, that had the hope in you, and don't kill the last little bit of hope that we have in this organization, or this organization as the NALC as an entity will probably cease to exist in the next 5 to 10 years.
Awesome. Joshua.
Holy moly, I'm not going after Corey. I was thinking there might be a secret to being the bigger podcast, because I noticed the ones that had the two top amount of listeners, they have the same hairstyle. So maybe I might have to do the same. But anyway, so I'm going to be quick. I got to be at my branch at 6 a.m. It's like 10 p.m. now. So I'm going to be quick. My wife, I'm sure she wants me back. So I just want to say we got to continue educating ourselves and doing the education if you have the facility to do so, the ability to do so, and keep fighting. Don't forget to tune in to Parcels of Knowledge, hosted by the Roseville Wrecking Ball. And other than that, hopefully you learned something valuable today. And as always, hopefully you have a good night.
All right, brother. Alan.
Yeah, so I want to address my final remarks to my fellow podcasters up here, starting with you, Richie. When I saw the people on here and the kind of time limits that you had imposed, I thought, man, this is going to be hard to pull off. And you have done a fantastic job of hosting this roundtable. Thank you very much for your effort.
Thank you, bro.
And I don't know what you're doing to Corey to get him to stay under these time limits. You must have a hostage at your house or something. But dude, it's a credit to you. So for the rest of you guys, I know as well as you do the effort that goes into putting out a podcast every week, or like Joshua 5 times a week. It seems like it's a labor. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes money, and it's done not for any monetary return. I'm sure all of us lose money on our podcasts, except, Joshua finally took the step of getting some supporters out there, and it's great for him. But all of this is done for love, because we love our fellow city carriers, because we want to serve our fellow carriers. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. You guys are teaching things that I can't teach. I'm teaching things that other people can't teach. And we're all in this together. And the fact that it's cooperative in this way, that I'm not competitive with Corey, not that I could be, and I'm not competitive with Joshua, that we're all in this together and we're all in this same mission, and that we're working together. It's really a beautiful thing. And I am so proud to be part of this fraternity with you guys. And I cannot thank you enough for the effort that I know you're putting in to help your fellow carriers. Great work, guys.
Thank you, brother. Elliot.
So I was trying to flag him down. Austin, you said something that I wanted to point out, because I said it earlier. You pointed out that Brian Renfro surrounding himself with security bodyguards in order to stand up for himself. And that's what a bad leader does. They only stand up for themselves. They do not stand up for the people that they're responsible for. But this is my closing statement. Keep fighting. Josh, quit stealing my lines. Keep filing grievances. Get active in your union. Help us make the changes. It's not just the top, man. It's the bottom too. There's hope on the horizon. I want you, the city letter carrier, to be part of it, because you're vital, not just your own future, not just my future, but everyone's future. That's what a union is. Every worker standing together and holding each other up for a better future. Also, vote for Elliot Simmons for Region 7 NBA. Selfless
Keith.
plug.
Go ahead, Keith. Feel free.
You gotta be 0 for 9.
No, I went and got it. Hey, I'd like to address the members in Region 12, everyone in Region 12. Do you believe that your NBA is fighting for you? What have they done for you? Do you believe in national leadership? Have they dropped the ball? Do they believe in you? Do you believe in them? They don't even believe in you. If the answer is no for the fight, they're not fighting for you. If that answer is no, then you have to vote them out. What are you doing here? This is your career, and you're letting them walk all over you. Enough of walking all over us. It's time to fight. It's time to vote them out.
Amen. Bill.
Man, I get to follow the Ayatollah of rock and roll. That's tough, man. Look, my final words is every one of us have a platform. Every one of us have a podcast that where we can get the message out to our conjugation and the people that are listening to us. Corey, you probably had the bigger of the group. Capone had to leave because of his daughter. He apologized for stepping out. They have a conjugation. We all have congregations that listen to us. The name of the game here is we need to get the vote out. When I first got together with Richie Ray about doing this was technically going to be on the 613 podcast, but I thought Richie would be a better host to do this. Look, we need to get the message out as podcasters. The people look to us for that message, that voice of reason. They tune into the A from Arbitration because they want to hear what Corey, they believe in his message. They believe in Austin's message. They believe in your message, Richie Ray. You're a podcaster in this game too, because the hot house is you and you're Richie Ray. All of us. Alan, you have a congregation on the western side. Josh, you're in Michigan. Elliot, you're up in no man's land. Austin, you're in the middle. Corey, you're in Tennessee. I'm in Pennsylvania. Richie, you're in New York. We have a big election coming up. We have a lot going on with this election because we've been fooled way too many times. We're not getting protected as letter carriers. You think the people on the NS list want to be forced every day to work? No. They didn't sign up for that. They signed up to do 8 hours on their route. Do you think that people want to go out in the heat and work in them high heats? No. They don't. It's too hot. It's unsafe. And the old heads can't do it. We need to protect the new people that are coming in, especially the CCAs. They're us. Even though the hiring process is fucked up right now, they're us. And we still need to protect them and guide them because they're the future of this union. Guys like me, Richie, Corey, Josh, Alan, dude, eventually we're going to be gone. There's going to be a new wave of podcasters sitting here doing their thing. And we'll be looking at them saying, yeah, they got that fight that we have for the letter carrier. Because at the end of the day, it's about the letter carrier. It's not about me, Richie. It's not about Corey. It's not about Keith. It's not about Joshua. It's not about any of us. It's about light blue because we don't get nothing from this. I'm not making money for doing my podcast 613. Corey's not making money. Corey refuses to make money. Josh, you make a little bit. I'll give you a little tiny kibit there. You got a good system going. You do 15 podcasts a week. We'll give you the love there. But look, podcasters, all of us here, any podcaster that's out there listening, it's time for the change. Because if not, and we all lose, and we're stuck with the complacent people that we got in there right now, and this union's fucking tanking, I don't want to hear it. Because I stepped up. Corey Walton stepped up. Elliot Simmons stepped up. We all stepped up because we're about light blue and we want to fight for light blue. There's nothing more to it. It's as simple as that. For Bill Kriebel, Region 12, NBA.
All right, Bill. Corey Walton.
Richie, first off, man, I appreciate you inviting me on, man. You did a fantastic job, brother, with all these different personalities and everything on here. You did a good job, my man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
You know I'm still mad at you, though, right?
Yeah, I know. You remind me of that every time we talk.
I do love you, though, brother. You
I
know that.
love you too, brother.
And all of these that are on this panel tonight, you think about what you've done. You saw a need and you stepped up and you stood up when our union wouldn't, and you educated city letter carriers. And you did that because you love light blue. And that is the most important thing. I've always said you love light blue. Put them first in everything that you do, and you'll be successful. It's got to be that way. You've got to love light blue. I don't think anybody on this panel or any of the podcasters, what do we have, 30 something now, do it because they just got damn bored. Uh, they love the city letter carrier and they have something to offer. And so, man, that's encouraging to me because I'm not going to be doing this forever. But I'm honored to be on here with this group of individuals that are titans in what they do. You step, people can say whatever they want about you, but those people are not the ones getting on that microphone every week and trying to educate their people. So they can call you whatever, they call me whatever. I don't give a damn because I've taken time out of my life and away from my family, just like y'all have, to educate those that you love, and that's light blue. And so, yeah, your union wouldn't, and so you did. And I think that y'all should all be commended on that. Um, you put letter carriers first. You put them first, and you will be successful in every single thing that you do. Even if you fail, you'll be successful because all the city letter carrier wants is somebody that's going to fight for them. And that's all I want as a city letter carrier myself. I delivered today. I'll be delivering next week. All the city letter carrier wants is for somebody out there to fight for them, and they don't have it right now. And so they look to people like Alan Gigax and Elliot and Austin and Josh and everybody else and Bill and Richie. They look to people like that because their union doesn't love them and they want to know that somebody does, and that's y'all. And so I love you guys, and I cannot thank you enough for what you do for the city letter care for light blue. So, Richie, thank you again, brother, for having me on, my man. I love you.
I love you too, brother. I love you too. And I have a closing thought myself. I just want every listener to understand the importance of this election, the importance of voting the right way. We need to get the status quo out. We really do. This leadership has failed us and has disappointed us. They broke my heart. They broke my heart. This TA was nothing but betrayal. Nothing but betrayal. And all we get is lies. They're taking the Postal Service's playbook. Our national union is taking the Postal Service's playbook. They're playing the membership. We are no longer going to be played. We're not going to be lied to no longer. I beg all of you to take this vote seriously. Use your voice. Use your voice. Everyone should vote. And I don't care if you vote for James Henry. I don't care if you vote for Mike Arab. I don't care if you vote for Eddie Davidson. Bottom line is vote. Use your voice. Use your voice. Don't pay your membership for not using your voice. All right? Brothers and sisters, listen. I appreciate all of you guys being on here. Thank you for being on. Thank you. I know all of you are working tomorrow, so I appreciate this, and it was an awesome time. I think this was a great idea, Bill. This was your idea, Bill, so I stole it from you.
That's all right, man, because Corey stole the other one from you at the NBA's.
Yeah, Corey, I haven't forgiven you for that one. Well, brothers and sisters, on that note, this is the Hot House, and Hot House loves you, and Hot House is me, Richie Ray. But on that note, everyone have a peaceful week. Um, Remember the convention is gonna be insane, insane. Everyone have a safe trip. Be safe going to the convention. Be safe going home. Everybody, High House loves you, and High House is me. Peace out, everybody.